YouTube, what's going on? This is Liston 3270 with ListonUnfiltered. This video is going to be about a fantasy fight. Very interesting fight. I try to come up with, fights that people don't think about normally, and fights that will get some good action. I try to play them out in my head. And this fight is going to be Smokin Joe Frazier against Ken Norton. And they both were trained by Eddie Futch, and a lot of different stories about these two. You know, it's said that Eddie Futch, didn't want Frazier to fight Norton because he felt Norton would have won. Now if you talk to a lot of people, boxing fans, because I've definitely talked about this in the past on social media. Many feel that Frazier just would destroy Ken Norton, and I I don't really agree. I see things differently, honestly. I think Ken Norton would beat Frazier. And yes, we're talking prime for prime. I think that, Frazier's good at getting to the body and bullying his way in and, imposing his will on fighters. But with a guy like Ken Norton, who, very flat footed fighter, uh, Ken Norton, he had the strength, he had the physique to, stop Joe Frazier from just bullying his way in. But he also had a very good jab. You know, Ken Norton wasn't the heaviest of punchers, but he had more than enough power to discourage a guy like Frazier from just walking on in. It wouldn't be like Joe Frazier fighting a guy like, Jimmy Ellis or, even Jerry Quarry. These guys where Frazier knew that he could take their power and, wear them down and wear them out eventually. It's different when, you're fighting a guy and, you can't get inside. That was kind of Frazier's issue when he fought Foreman. Well, one of them. But I did a video on that too. So in case, you guys want to know my opinions on that fight, the first fight, I didn't bother doing the second fight. We all knew what that was about. But, just to fight a guy and to constantly be, pushed aside and pushed off and have to work your way back in. And, then Ken Norton had, very good, very good defense too. So I think he would have made it very difficult for Frazier. Now, the interesting thing is, I'm not sitting here saying this wouldn't be a good fight because Frazier, even if he's discouraged, you'd have to kill him. He wasn't going to just go away. He wasn't going to stop. He was going to keep coming in. Either you're going to knock him out or, you can knock him down. He's going to keep coming. It's just the type of guy he was, type of fighter he was. He's going to dig deep and he's going to keep trying, to win by any means necessary. As long as his heart is pumping, he's going to be trying to get in there and make something happen. And I think that's why, fans of the sport, you got to love a guy like Frazier. Win or lose, he's going to give you everything he's got. Now, since I've said all of that, could Ken Norton have dealt with Frazier's power if Frazier got through with some big shots. If Frazier could land a left hook or land a significant shot to the body, how would Norton have dealt with it? Well, Norton really didn't deal well with punchers. That was his problem. But the difference is between Frazier and a guy like Foreman, or even a guy like Ernie Shavers, was Norton didn't really have the footwork to keep these guys off of him. Whereas Frazier he wasn't really in the same category in terms of punching as a guy like Shavers or Foreman. Those guys, or even Cooney. I mean, these guys can get you out with, well, not Foreman so much, but, the guys that Norton has lost to, that were, blew him out. They just pressured him relentlessly and, got up right up on him, and he couldn't keep him off. He really wouldn't have that problem with Frazier. Frazier wasn't really that type of fighter. Frazier wanted to get on the inside, wear you down over the course of, a 12-round fight, and tire you out and then, take you out. So, Norton really wouldn't have that type of issue. But it's very possible that Frazier switches his game plan and goes right at Norton and not allow Norton to get comfortable at all. And Frazier had excellent stamina, so that could really dramatically change things. There's always that. Frazier starting faster, and that could definitely happen. That would kind of alter things a bit. And I don't know. Norton did not have the greatest chin in the world. I don't think anyone's going to fight that. I think his chin was. I think it was about an average chin from everything I've seen of him. And that's not a knock either. I mean, you get some of these heavyweights who can really punch, and it's a lot for your chin to deal with. But I don't know. Frazier could crack. And also Frazier could finish. He gets you hurt and jump up on you. He could definitely get you out of there. No doubt about it. But I would lean to Norton in a fight like this, in a fight between these two. I would. But you can't totally count out Joe Frazier either. And I think Norton would probably win by decision. In my opinion. But that's how I see it. Smokin Joe Frazier against Ken Norton. If you see it differently or would like to point out some other points about about the fight, feel free to do so in the comment section. Please like, share, subscribe. If you like the content, let me know. If there's anything you'd like to see me do, leave it in the comment section. And until next time, I'm out.